Hello, my friends. This is Vicky, and you're listening to the Side Income Coaching Podcast. This show is all about helping Christians learn how to grow their income and shrink their financial stress. So, if you're looking to learn how to use the skills and knowledge that you already have in order to earn extra money without having to get a second job, then you're totally in the right spot. Before I get started today, I want to invite you to the Side Income Idea Bootcamp. So, this is for those of you who have maybe been thinking you want to try to earn extra income, but you're not really sure what idea you should choose or which one is actually going to work in your local area. And I have 5 days planned out for how we're going to help you find the perfect idea for you for this time in your life and turn that into something that by Friday you'll be able to share with people and start making it happen. I would say by the last week of February or in March, you are going to be able to bring in some extra money so that you can pay these bills on time, save up extra money, whatever it is your purpose is for wanting extra income, you will totally be able to do that if you will come in and then trust the process. I believe that God gave me something really special to share with people in order to help them change their mindset, change their view of money, change their view of how they are showing up in the world, and the tools to be able to help you line up with God's plan for your life. So I hope you will join us in that boot camp. If you want to, I will leave the link in the show notes, but you can go to vickyarsenault.com/bootcamp to get yourself registered. So today I was thinking about this article that I had read one time about, I believe it was a 17-year-old girl in a different country. It wasn't in the US, but I can't remember which country it was in now. But anyway, she had won the lottery. And when she won, of course, she was super excited. She's like a 17-year-old girl, all kinds of money, like at her fingertips. Of course, she did all of the things that most would do. Fancy, expensive clothes, cars, houses, vacations, all of the things. It turned out that years later, after she had done all this, after she had won all this money, done all the things that she wanted to do, she found herself feeling empty and lonely and wishing that she had never won the lottery. Can you imagine? Most people are hoping to win the lottery. She is wishing she never did. And I actually read another article that had all these stories of people who had won that then regretted winning and wished that they had never won. What made me think about this is that sometimes we think that having more money is going to help us live a happier life. And it absolutely is not going to fill the spot in your heart that is there for pursuing the Lord. Maybe all your needs will be met. Maybe more than your needs will be met. But without the Lord, you are still going to feel empty. I started thinking about that because at that time in my life was a challenging time financially. And so at those times when it was really challenging, I would have loved money to fall from the sky. I didn't play the lottery. I don't play the lottery, but I would have enjoyed having some money. But you know what the problem is? Is that with a lot of money, there comes a lot of responsibility. You have to have the wisdom to know how to handle that. And most of the time, when people win a large amount of money, the first things they do, I mean, they do kind things for their family. They can give generously, I'm not trying to say they don't, but what often happens is people find themselves doing things that maybe they wouldn't normally do. Maybe hitting the bar scene, getting into drugs. Often couples will end up getting divorced. Just the money comes in and it exposes what's in somebody's heart already and then just sets out to destroy. Because people think that money is the answer, but money is not the answer. The Lord is the answer. And so, as I'm thinking about this and thinking about how I help people create extra income, one of the things I want to make sure everybody understands is that I am not helping people make money just for the sake of making money. That is not my goal. In fact, that would make my heart sad. I want to help people make money so that they can have some breathing room to be able to do more of the things that the Lord is leading them to. What often happens is people put their money into pockets with holes. Haggai 1:6 tells us, "You have planted much, but harvest little. You eat, but are not satisfied. You drink, but are still thirsty. You put on clothes, but cannot keep warm. Your wages disappear as though you were putting them in pockets filled with holes." And another version says a purse filled with holes. I feel like when we pursue any kind of wealth without having the wisdom of God that should come before that, then we end up doing these drastic things like some previous lottery winners have done. We move forward without wisdom, without experience, and end up poor. Like there's lots of stories of people who have either won a lot of money or had a profession where they earned a lot of money and still ended up broke and bankrupt. And on the outside of it, we're looking at like, how on earth could that happen? You had all this money. I used to watch this show. Oh, I think it's called My Lottery Dream Home on HGTV. I used to watch that show, and oftentimes, somebody would win the lottery and they would spend a good chunk of it, like probably three-quarters of it on a house. And then I'm thinking, like, aren't you thinking how you're going to have to pay taxes and oil and all of the things on that house for, however long you're going to live there? You did not plan for that. You bought a house that was too expensive that you're not going to be able to afford later because you haven't actually earned that money. You don't have any more coming in from it. It's going to just go away. And so oftentimes I think people overspend and then they don't have enough to continue to live on it. And so it's just one of those things where when you walk in the wisdom of the Lord, then He tells you how to use this. But even still, what I think is that these financial struggles are the things that prepare us for more. If we can do well with what we have now, then God will trust us with more. I think it is Luke 16:10 that says, "Whoever can be trusted with little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much." It's one of those things that I think about because part of the process of becoming wealthy is the process of making it happen. It's something that you and the Lord do together. You take steps toward it, and God is with you, leading you the whole way. If somebody just gives you all this money, you don't have the wisdom yet to be able to handle it. So, how have you been handling what God has given you already to handle? Have you been using wisdom in your financial dealings? Or have you just been frivolous? Have you been spending unwisely? Have you been putting your wants before your needs? Or are your priorities just a little misaligned? The reason I'm asking this is because taking personal responsibility for your finances is going to be huge as you try to earn more. When you take personal responsibility for your finances, then you get to actually create what you want down the road. Or when you take personal responsibility for your finances, then God is able to actually move and bless you. When you're not using wisdom, why is God going to give you more? I wouldn't. If I were giving one of our kids, $1,000 because they need $1,000 to pay whatever bills, and then I see them going out and drinking and getting tattoos and buying things that they don't need with it, I would be a little annoyed. I'd be like, okay, I wouldn't probably say anything to them, but guess what? I wouldn't be giving them any more money. If I give you something to pay a bill or to help you out financially, it's not so that you can go do all the crazy things that you wanted to do. It's to help you. So imagine how it is with God when He has given us stuff and given us money, He's given us resources, and then we just do crazy things with it. We don't ask Him what He wants us to do with it. We don't ask Him, what is this money for? What should I do with it? Because it's His money anyways. What do you want me to use this for? Sometimes we just go and do the things we think, well, I earned it, so I'm going to go spend it the way I want to. Okay, that's totally fine. But would you continue to give money to somebody who is not using it wisely? Like they have bills, but they're not paying them when they get money, they're doing other things. Now, this is not for the person, this message is not for the person who is doing all the things the wise way. This message is for the people who are not paying attention. There are circumstances where people are doing things the right way. You're doing your very best. You are being careful about what you spend. You're taking care, like doing a budget each month, doing your best to stick to it, trying to stay within the lines. And still life is a struggle. So I totally understand that. And I know that breakthrough is coming. And when you start earning your own income, you're still going to use it wisely. And so you are going to continue to increase. But this message is for the ones who are not paying attention. It is time to take personal responsibility. And it is time to really seek the Lord in what He wants you to be doing financially. Because if you were to get a bunch of money right now, you might use it carelessly. I know I wouldn't do that with my kids. My daughter, when she moved out, I had money set aside for her, but I didn't give it to her. She didn't even know about it. And I waited to see how she was going to do on her own, paying rent by herself, making sure she shows up to work, because she was 19, and seeing like, is she going to ask for money, which she never did. And so there was a day where I ended up giving her the money that I had saved for her. So what had happened is we charged rent to our kids if they were not in college but were still living at home, because it's a good learning lesson for them. You're going to have to get out into the world. It was only a couple $100s, and they didn't have to, worry about food or anything like that. They basically were paying for part of our taxes, electricity, water, and sewer, and internet. They had to pay for their own phones and things like that. So it was trying to give them a lesson about what it's going to be like in the world. So it's just a couple $100s. But what we did with that money is put it in an account for them, which they didn't know about. And so all the rent that they were paying was being saved for them for a future time. So my daughter moves out on her own. She's doing great. She's doing all things pretty responsibly, paying stuff on time, showing up at work, doing all that. We did a budget together a couple of times. Well, one day I was sitting with her in her car and I gave her a check for all the money that she had paid to me. And literally, she started to get emotional because I said, "This is all the money that you've given us in rent." And she's like, "Oh my gosh." And said, I heard of people doing that, but I didn't think you would. So it was really funny. But, because I saw that she was being responsible with her choices, I was happy to give this to her because I knew she was going to use it with wisdom. And I feel like that's how God looks at us sometimes. And part of the fun of getting a healthy savings account built or becoming debt free, part of the fun of it is the challenge. The challenge of it becomes almost addicting because you feel like, man, I'm making progress. I'm making progress. It's like we have a huge mountain around here, Mount Washington. Oh, I guess it's not huge compared to some places, but in the Northeast it is. And so you can take a train up Mount Wash. We call it Mount Wash. So you can take a train up there, the Cog Railway, and it's easy. It's beautiful. You go from the bottom to the top. It's great. Or you can hike the mountain, which my husband has done. Either way, you still get to the top. But when you've actually hiked the mountain, you feel like this great reward when you got to the top. Like, I did this. Like, I was able to hike this mountain and get to the top and then see the reward of this beautiful view if it's a clear day. When I went up on the train, it was still beautiful up there, but I didn't do anything to get there. So my appreciation level for the beauty is probably different than my husband's when he hiked it and he saw like his efforts rewarded. So it's kind of like that with money. You could get a whole bunch and you maybe don't have the appreciation that someone who's worked really hard to get it would have. And also with that comes all kinds of lessons on the way. First of all, it's tiring when you're climbing a mountain. You got to make sure you have enough food, enough water. You got to take breaks. It really takes a toll on your body. And it's the same as you're trying to earn money and get out of the situation that you're in right now. It takes a toll on you. It makes you wonder what in the world you're doing. It makes you wonder if you can even do this. And as all of that's happening, it's actually building your confidence. It's building your trust in the Lord. So yeah, you could get money from nowhere and you'd be like, okay, yeah, this is cool. I got this. Yay. But when you take the steps to earn it, there's so much more joy and reward when you get to where you're going. I think that's really the main lesson for today is just to enjoy the journey, rejoice in the trials. James 1:12 says, "Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial, for when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life which God has promised to those who love him." Romans 12:12, "Rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, be constant in prayer." Recently, my prayer for you is that the Lord will stir in your heart and in your mind, that you will have ideas that you never thought of before, that you will start this journey of digging out of whatever financial mess you might be in right now, or if you have been using wisdom with your money and still struggling, that God will just bless your efforts and open up the doorways for all of you to be able to receive from Him. That our minds will be clear, that we won't believe the lies of the enemy, that money will not be the ruler of our heart or pursuit of it, but really the pursuit of the Lord will be what gives us life every single day. So with all that, I am excited about the boot camp. I hope that you'll join me in there. Go to vickyarsenault.com/bootcamp and join in because I think God's got some amazing ideas for you and some amazing plans for your future. And one of the things that we have to do is take the steps to get there because the reward is so great. And it just opens the doors for us to grow in our faith and to grow in wisdom so that as we have more resources, we know how to use them wisely for the glory of God, for the kingdom, and to keep our priorities eternal. So I hope you have a great week, and I will see you or talk to you next time.